or whenever you're watching this, everyone. Welcome to the Fill Your Cup podcast. I am Caitlin Reber, and today I have with me Bella Brown.
Woo-hoo.
She's finally made it. Bella knew about this before like almost anyone.
Yeah.
And she was been patiently waiting.
Oh, yeah.
Not so patiently. As Samantha. Samantha's been much less patient. But welcome.
Hi.
Okay, Bella, introduce yourself. Kind of give people the lowdown of who Bella Brown is.
Okay. Oh, hi. I'm Bella Brown. I'm one of Caitlin's best friends. This past year, I was Miss Oklahoma's Outstanding Teen 2022, the last Outstanding Teen. I think I don't think. I know you've talked about that.
Yeah.
For sure. But I'm also a singer-songwriter and a performer. I'm a Christian artist, and
She's a theater girl now.
I do musical theater, which is a big part of my life now. But yeah, that's basically who I am.
We still Bella Brown.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's tons of things. I don't know what direction episode is gonna go.
I feel like it's gonna go.
It could go many ways.
Random place that we don't even know about.
Everyone can ride along with us. But we'll start off with the question I ask everyone. So with Fill Your Cup and with purpose, I think it's so important to find the things again that brings you joy, kind of takes you back. So for you, with everything you've gone through in life, what's been a constant for you, place of joy and fulfillment and all that?
I think the first and utmost thing has obviously been my relationship with the Lord. Yeah. I'm a Christian, proud of it. But woot. But I mean, there's been so many times in my life where I've just been in a hard place, and I think we'll talk about that later, but always just resting on my faith and resting on God has for sure been the utmost important thing in my life, and that's been the only thing that has kept me really in places of peace and joy when everything around me else everything
everywhere all the time
is rocky, and that's the only thing that really keeps me on a stable foundation and in a stable place in life. So that's for sure one of the things that just brings me joy and fills my cup. And I think obviously the people around me, my friends and my family.
Environment.
And the environment and just things I'm involved in, things that keep me going. I'm a very, very busy person.
I can vouch for that. I haven't seen her in 2 weeks before we went to lunch the other day. So.
I've been really busy. And so I think just having a good support system and an environment to just be able to say, these are my people, and these are the people that bring me happiness at the end of the day. Yeah. And just keep me in a positive mindset. That's for sure what fills my cup.
No, yeah. It's Samantha. I think Samantha definitely taught, me and Mom, we really got into, just finding those people. She was Samantha's always find your tree of trust, find your tree of trust. Who are those people that, that you can go, you can go to them and, it's all out on the table. There's nothing left unsaid.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
I feel like that's a really safe thing to have.
Yeah. And for anybody wondering, Samantha is my mother.
Oh, yeah. I'll keep referring to Samantha. And Samantha is Mama Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I.e. Sherry's best friend.
Yeah. They're besties.
But yeah, I think just having your people...
Sherry's my mom, too.
Oh, yeah. Sherry is Caitlin's mom. But being able to just have those people around you who will love you and support you, and like you said, the tree of trust, being able to kind of introduce that to you, because multiple years ago it was introduced to me just through pageants. But being able to just have that in every sphere of life and being able to find that's the most important thing.
Yeah. So. Well, I feel too, for especially, your mom will tell me that I'm much more of a people person than you are, but
I think so.
She'll be because I feel I always try to see the best in literally everyone. And I'm not even just in the pageant world, but life in general, whether it's been school or dance, life in general, it's so important to find those people that you can really give everything to and not have to be worried about them leaving or them taking that somewhere else, especially I feel kind of growing up in girlhood too, sometimes it's hard being a girl, and it's hard trusting people and learning learning about yourself throughout all of that.
Oh,
So I feel like it's
sure.
been it's been something that I'll like take with me for a long time.
Oh yeah, and I think that's one of the things that's really cool about our friendship too, because it started in pageants. Caitlin's first title was Miss EOC Middale's Outstanding Teen, and that was my first title, so I got to crown her. And I remember like seeing on pageant day, and I was like, "Who's this little redhead?
Like,
Who's this girl?"
Gingy.
And then a year, 2 years later, like we're best friends,
Yeah.
and so being able to just kind of like grow that friendship and see it blossom, and just having that, I mean, in other aspects of life too, because we're not just friends in the pageant world, like we've become so much more than that. So being able to just have that is
and then we figured out real quick that our families are the same.
Oh yeah, our families are very, very similar. That's why they get along so well.
That's why it works out. But yeah, so that's friendship advice from me and Bella. But okay, so I really want to go into your story, and because I mean, your story is such like a huge part of who you are, like all the ups and downs you've been in life. And so if you wouldn't mind like sharing some of that with the people.
Well, when you compete in the Miss Oklahoma organization or the Miss Oklahoma Teen organization, you have to have a platform or a CSI or a social impact initiative. And like hers is Fill Your Cup. Mine was called What's Your Fate? And FATE is an acronym for Fighting Addiction Through Education. And it's because of everything that I've gone through in my life. So when I was 6 years old, I had a great family. My dad was an Oklahoma firefighter, and he loved his job. And then I know where he quit, and I didn't know why. And it turned out that he was a drug addict, and he was having a really tough time, realized that he didn't want to be fired from his job because he loved it so much. And so he just got out of the fire service. And realizing that was because of a drug addiction really tore my family apart. I think it tears anybody apart who's affected by it. Yeah. And so I really just had to take a step back and realize, even at a young age, like my family was broken, and the only way that I could find healing within myself and within my family was through God. And one of the ways he showed me happiness, even in a really, really dark time, was through music. And so I started writing music. I started learning the guitar, learning a little bit on the piano, and really just focusing on my craft, and realized that around that time I also realized I could sing. And so
and she's like, and I'm really good at it.
Well, thanks. But I really found joy in music and joy in God, and it was just a really rough time in my life, because in that moment I really just wanted to focus on healing, and I wanted to focus on everything being okay with my family immediately, but realizing that addiction is a disease, and that's not something that will just go away really quickly. You just can't say, okay, I tried drugs and alcohol. Better. I tried drugs and alcohol, it's done now. That's not how it works. And when I took time to really realize what addiction was, even at a young age, it came back in my life when I started competing in the Miss Oklahoma organization, because that's when I realized, okay, my platform and my CSI should be about this. Yeah. Because a lot of kids don't realize how addiction affects them and their family, because it can be drugs and alcohol, which are the most generic and common things you see, but it can also be things such as social media or video games, or I mean even sports, or things that you just enjoy doing, or extracurriculars. They can become an addiction, and it can become an idol in your life. And so being able to show kids that even though I'm a young teenage girl, I still realize what this is, and I've seen the firsthand effects of addiction in my life, that was something really important, and I thought I should share. And so throughout my time in the Miss Oklahoma organization, I was just sharing about my CSI and about my platform, and honestly, it was going pretty good. It was pretty nice. And then I won Miss Oklahoma City's Outstanding Teen, which was really awesome. I loved that time. But I specifically remember one night I was at another local pageant, and my Nana was with me.
My first local.
It was your
actually. It was my very first local. Yeah.
But I realized that something was going on in my house, and I didn't really know what it was. And so my Nana had gone with me to the pageant. And my dad had relapsed. After 8 years of recovery, he had relapsed, and it was a defining moment in my life of, oh gosh, everything's crashing down again. Yeah. Everything's going into shambles. My family's broken once again. What am I going to do? Has my whole CSI been a lie because
Yeah.
I was just saying how, addiction affects a family and it affects everybody it touches, but you can find healing and recovery and healing the people around you. And then to see that be completely destroyed, it really shook me. And so
you like had to experience firsthand like what addiction means.
Oh yeah.
Like I feel like it's such a difference of like you grow up, even if like, you grow up in public school, like you have like red ribbon week and stuff like that, and they talk about drugs and alcohol and like, don't do this, don't do that. But until you meet someone, and there's not a lot of people that will just be like blunt about their experience with it, whether it was themselves or whether it was like someone they know. And I felt like, getting to know your family and getting to know your dad and all these things, like it's so much more inspiring to like just be like real about it.
I think that's the easiest way people connect with it too, because I mean, especially when that happened, Miss Oklahoma City, I wouldn't say it's a prestigious title, but it kind of is. I mean, it was,
they just had their 100th.
They did. They just had their 100th celebration.
We love it.
But I kind of had this weight on my shoulders of not being the perfect title holder, but being a good one. And so I really didn't want to talk about it that much when it first happened because I felt as if my platform was a lie and I couldn't share about it anymore because it had just come right back around. But then I realized it just made everything stronger and just gave me more of a passion to share about it, because then kids can realize that even though addiction still affects your family and it might come back around sometimes and it is a disease, and until you see that really happen in your life, you don't understand it. I realized that it was something that I could still share and that it was actually more powerful than it was before. Thankfully, my dad, he has been in recovery ever since then, and
we love Bella's dad.
We love my dad. But he's a very strong Christian man, and after he lost his way for a while, he has definitely come back and he's been walking in the ways of the Lord, and it's been a really cool transformation. And it's made me thankful as a daughter and just somebody who I've had multiple addicts in my family, but my dad's my closest. Just seeing him go through recovery and seeing that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and being able to share that with kids my age, younger or older, and just kind of be that light of inspiration and hope that this isn't something that defines you or your family. It's something you can grow from, and being able to be open about it and say that, this is what we've struggled with and that's what we've gone through. It's just going to help somebody else. It could touch one person or it could touch 1,000, but it's going to help somebody else. But it's going to help
someone, I feel like that was similarly like for Fill Your Cup. It's kind of been that moment of like, this is something like I think it matters to me so much because like you, it's just my story, and I came to the realization, I was like, whether this touches like thousands of people, like that's great and I love that, but if I change just one person, then I'm fulfilled with that. And I think it's been really cool to even see people like, to have people like reach out to me that like, I'm sure that maybe you had that too, especially after you won Miss Oklahoma's Outstanding Teen. Like, people are like, oh my gosh, like, I have that story too. And the fact that you're able to talk about it and, share your experience just makes me feel so much more like heard, Yeah.
There were girls that I met at Miss America's Outstanding Teen, because everybody has different CSIs. You could be all the way from leukemia awareness to child hunger and all these different things, but being able to just kind of be candid and open about my situation. I had so many girls at the national competition just sit there and be like, wow, like, you've gone through so much. I mean, you've had a lot of success in your life, but a lot of people don't know what goes on behind closed doors, and so you being able to be open and just honest and real is something that we really appreciate, and it's just really cool to see, because not a lot of girls do that, especially girls my age and the things I'm involved in, because y'all probably know if you're watching this, or maybe not, who knows. But when you get into pageantry, it's a tough world. It's hard, and even though you don't want to say that you have to be perfect all the time, there is this underlying pressure of, I mean, you have a crown on your head.
it's this level of like knowing that the Lord has put it on your life to be a role model to people. But whenever like you have an organization that is like so prestigious and so important, and it's like, okay, like you actually are the role model that you know, you had an entire year and you still have now, because I think anyone that followed you during your year is still following you now, where you're representing an entire state. And one of those being, especially like for anyone who doesn't know, like in the Miss America organization specifically, Oklahoma is in the top like 3 or 5.
Yeah. I think 3.
Yeah, top three for like most successful and just, I guess, like prestigious in the country. And so it's a big
deal.
It's a big like weight to carry.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially because even though Oklahoma is like a very Southern Christian type of state, it's still very diverse. Yeah. And you represent people from many different walks of life and people who might not believe the same things as you, either religiously or politically or just in general, may have different morals because they've grown up differently. And so being able to kind of balance that was hard, but at the same time, it really showed a lot to me just about myself and how I was able to carry myself in such a way that not only represented myself in the truest light possible, but also shine the best light on Oklahoma.
Right. And I feel like it just makes you more like attainable as a person, because, you know, someone looks at you, or I've even had people come up to me, like I have not been a state title holder, but I'll even have people come up to me, specifically, I've had a lot of people that I've seen later on that I used to go to school with, because I went to a public school for the end of 8th grade, freshman and sophomore year, and I'll have a lot of people come up to me now and they're like, I'm just like amazed by everything that you're doing, and I'm like, and then I'll start talking to them and I could tell like it's just like this comfortability that comes out, and I'm like, I'm literally the same person that we were sitting in art class together, like talking about how we were so tired and literally just wanted to leave. But it makes you, I feel like, so much more relatable as a person to be able to candidly, like, there's a level of like talking about what you're passionate about and then like really listening and having a real conversation with people about what you're passionate about. And like as a title holder, I felt like you made one of the biggest things, like looking back on your year, you did a really good job at just being like a friend. Like you weren't this like someone above anyone else, but you were just like real. Like you just, I think that's why like I value our relationship so much, because I was like, I'll tell anyone, I'm like, listen, I keep it real. I'm gonna be kind, like I'll always be kind, always be loving. But something that I learned, an old relationship taught me, and it'll be something that I carry with me for the rest of my life, is he told me that he valued that I was a kind person. And he said, that's so much more important than being nice. And I was like, well, what do you mean by that? And he said, being nice to someone is telling them exactly what they want to hear and letting them feel satisfied in that. And being kind is being true and real and honest and telling someone what they need to hear, even if that's not something that they want at that time. And that is probably one of the best compliments like I will ever get. And I've taken that with me, even at like this past Miss Oklahoma teen competition this last summer, like winning like Spirit Award and just being able to get to know the friends around me. And I really give credit to the people in my life who have taught me to just be real. But that being said, rewinding again, I felt like you made a point to just have a relationship with people and to like get on that level.
That was one of the things that I wanted to do as a title holder, not just as a local title holder, but as a state title holder too. I've expressed this to you, and I've expressed it to people who just ask me. But one of the things you have on your shoulders is you have to be this perfect image, especially as a state title holder. And you have to be this image of grace and beauty, but also realness all at the same time. Yeah. But a lot of times we don't necessarily see that. And I mean, that's just kind of throughout everything, I think, in your life. You're going to meet people who aren't necessarily their true selves because they want to just keep up this image and they want to be this figure that people look to. But I don't think that people really understand that you can still be that with being a real person.
Yeah.
And that was the main thing that I wanted to just do throughout my whole reign, was just be a human being and be an equal. I'm not above you because I have a different crown or sash.
Yeah.
And just because I won something.
Because when the 365 days are over, you're still Bella without a shiny hat on your head. Yeah.
So just being me throughout the whole process and showing that to other people was something that was really important to me. This past, what was it, last week, I just got done doing Mean Girls the Musical at a theater in Norman.
And she was Katie.
And I was Katie Heron. If y'all have seen the movie, it's who Lindsay Lohan plays. But I had the honor. Thanks. I had the honor of playing the lead, and it meant a lot to me. But one of the biggest things was our finale song was called Icy Stars, and the whole scene to just kind of set it out. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's going to make me sad. The whole scene to set it out was Katie, the whole musical, she kind of had this growth in herself that wasn't necessarily the best. She had just moved to America, and she didn't really know what public high school was like.
Yeah.
And she met a group of girls, the Plastics, who really changed her, and she became a mean girl. Mm-hmm. And she thought she had to change herself for people to like her, for people to vote for her, for the spring fling queen. And she lost some of her true friends in the process and lost herself. Yeah. And so the very finale song in the end scene was her realizing how bad she messed up. And she's making this speech in front of everybody. And she says, I think people voted for me because they thought I pushed someone in front of a bus, which is terrible. And Regina, who was actually one of our friends, she was like, don't apologize. We love Maggie. But then she goes on this spiel about how she lost her true friend and she's really sorry. Mm-hmm. And how when she first moved here, she wanted everybody to like her so badly. She thought she had to change herself to be good enough. Yeah. And then it says, we all do that sometimes, I think. But from up here, I wish you could see it. You're awesome. And then get the crown. Katie gets the crown. And she realizes that the crown is just a representation of something that you have to be. Yeah. And something that only one person can have. And so she ends up breaking the crown and giving it to everybody at the prom or the spring fling. And it really was cool to me to just sit down and marinate with the song because, I mean, I was doing a bunch of character study for it, but I didn't have to do much because I've been Katie at times.
It's almost like you got cast as yourself.
I know. It was actually really cool to just have that whole experience. Mm-hmm. But when I was thinking about the song, I realized that was exactly how it was for me as a head holder at the end. Yeah. Because even though I had one crown, I wanted it to feel as if every person I talked to throughout my whole year had a piece of that too. And that I was just their equal. And I wasn't somebody who was above them and who changed themselves to get something. Mm-hmm. I was myself and I was real. And just being able to just share that small piece of the crown with each person as I went along my whole year, that was what I wanted to do. And so to kind of have that in a visual representation of something even after I'd passed on my title, having that connection, it meant a lot to me.
I just got goosebumps. Like, I almost started crying.
No, don't cry. I've cried thinking about it. But, I mean, it was really cool having that correlation and just seeing that. I think I fulfilled that for sure.
No, yeah, 100%.
Thanks. Yeah. But it was a really aha moment and just a wow.
Well, I feel like that was such like a God thing too, because even like, you know, you have the stresses of, I mean, to kind of relate it to just normal life, you have the stresses of just normal, like everyday life. It's going, and you have disappointments and you have stuff that you get really excited for, but then also like sometimes you're in a state of life where like it really just feels like you're getting teared down over and over. And I felt like God kind of gave you Katie as like this like, let's bring you back up. And I felt like it was a really full circle moment to kind of see everything that you were the year before.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, y'all know, but I got the news of Katie during honestly one of the hardest weeks of my life. Yeah. And I mean, I was kind of in a rough mental place. after a lot of things had happened. And so just to kind of get that news,
Mm-hmm.
it was like the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Even though some things in my life were ending, something new was just beginning. And it was one of the biggest blessings I think I could have ever asked for, because I mean, if anybody's ever been in a show or been in a production at all, you realize that it's a lot of time and it's a lot of effort. And so being able to just go through a whole month of rehearsals and getting to meet so many new people. I have met people throughout the show.
You have like some brand new like best friends.
Yes, I have some people. I mean, even people like I kind of knew from
Yeah.
our last show, but I didn't get as close with until this month. And people who I just kind of knew of, and now I'm best friends with. They're some of my closest people and some of the people who I can be really deep and real with. And so just kind of having that whole process of getting to know them better and just getting to be a part of the production process, because it's really hard, but you're all bonding over one thing. And even though people think of the movie of Mean Girls, they're like, what?
They're like,
what is this about? The message in it is so important.
Yeah.
And I think when we did the show, it definitely shined through. And so just kind of having that correlation of things in life had ended for me, and a part of my life was kind of closed in the chapter.
Right.
I was just starting a brand new one that was going to flourish me even more into the person I'm becoming. And it was just really nice and really cool to see.
Well, I feel like even, I was going to say something else, but I had to like touch on it, because I feel like overall, like your joy has just been like exuding recently. Like I feel like you've been able to just step into who Bella Brown really is, and like you know, being in a public eye, everyone has their opinions that they're throwing at you, and sometimes they're like great, like sometimes I'm like, okay, word, okay, like I needed to hear that, but then a lot of the time it's like something, especially in like, I think anyone can relate who's in like a pageant world or anything like that, people love to give their 2 cents, and that it really does come from like such a wonderful place, and I do honestly appreciate it, but there's a level of like, I know if it's for me, then it's 100% for you, of like people having these expectations for like, what's Bella gonna do next?
Yeah.
You know, what is she gonna do? Is she gonna be this Christian artist? Is she gonna, you know, go to theater? Is she gonna do something completely different? And before you did the show, I had this feeling like I just got from you, just like through us hanging out, where you were like, just kind of like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I want to do. And I feel like now you're like, I don't know, but like also very sound in that. Like you're very confident in it. And I think that's a big testament to like how life should be. And I think that it like kind of goes back to whenever I talk about purpose and things like that. Like a lot of people will chase after something to find purpose or to find contentment, when in reality, or like opinions that people have of them. Yeah. But, like, in reality, if you can find that in yourself, like, you still don't know what life is going to look like. Like, life is still literally crazy. But it's, like, this peace and joy that you can have because, like, you have that contentment.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, throughout, like I was talking about earlier with my story, throughout addiction basically destroying my family, and even after that, I mean, music and God has been the 2 things that have kept me calm throughout everything. And so I think that God has given me a gift that is needing to be shared, and it is supposed to be music. And I know that, and he's given me clarity within that, especially over these past few months. In multiple different ways. I think just now it's which outlet, which way am I going to go? I don't know which, but I know that it's supposed to be in that, and so I'm sound in that. And I mean, I know my purpose is to glorify him through music. Don't know which way I'm going yet. We'll figure it out. I kind of have a little bit of an idea, but not for sure. Yeah. But just knowing that, he's giving me that purpose, and he's giving me just this sense of peace and calm in that. It's something that I'm very thankful for.
No, yeah. I had a lot of, like, unsureness about like what I was gonna do after high school. It's like everybody has that moment, but for me, I'm a very planner girl. Like I need to know at least an idea. And I mean, you know, talk to Caitlin as a 12 or 13-year-old, she would have been like dance, going to New York City, playing as Broadway, or being a Rockette. Right before COVID shut everything down, I had gone, you know, for that callback for the Music Man on Broadway with Hugh Jackman, Sutton Foster, and I was like, this is it. Like, I love New York City. This will be my life. And then, you know, COVID hit, and I felt like COVID definitely, how do I want to word this? COVID definitely affected people in so many different ways. Oh, yeah. Some people are like, I had a time of my life, and I'm like, I did not, but that's okay. That's good for you. It was I felt like it was just the beginning of this new chapter that the Lord was opening in my life, because I felt like it was that was right whenever I was starting high school too. And so I was like kind of starting this new chapter of like, who do I want to be now? I had left an environment that I had grown up in for a very, very, very long time, school and dance. I had left both of those, and those were like really big constants for me. And I feel like I was going off on a tangent. I was going somewhere. Oh yeah. So then after that, I was like, I don't really know if I want to dance anymore. And then I would have a lot of people be like, oh, like you could do this or you could do this. And I'm like, that makes sense. But like, I don't really know if I want to do that. Yeah. You know, that doesn't sound like something that I just want to do for the rest of my life. And if my mom has taught me anything, she's taught me to like go for whatever I want. Like the possibilities are quite literally endless, you know? And I had like a year ago. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. It was a year ago. I had a moment in the car. Like I was actually listening to the Sadie Robertson podcast, which I love. And I had this really big realization, so much bigger than like for any like, you know, Christian kids. Like you have that like camps experience. Like a lot of the times you'll have moments of like big worship where like, ooh, the Lord was there, you know, felt it, and like feel a big calling on your life. And I never felt that, but just in like this very small, intimate moment, I had felt the Lord tell me like that I was called to ministry. And I was like, awesome. Thank you, Lord. You were just giving me another step. Like, and then I kept hearing these sermons for literally a month. I go to a lot of different churches. I go for like Sundays, another one for Wednesdays. Like I'm kind of all over the place. But no matter where I was, it was just confirmation over and over and over. And it was like, God was like, you don't need to know the next step. You just need to say yes. So then I was in this process of like, okay, what is pursuing ministry going to look like? And, you know, do I want to go to a Christian school and like actually go to school, like to be a pastor or to, you know, be in seminary and all that sort of thing? Because I have a lot of family who's done that, and I've had people that love it, and I've had people that hated it and even left their beliefs because of that. And I'm very like, I stand very firm in the Lord, and I know that like He will be my rock always. But I was like, what does ministry look like for my life? And then like every step, like God's just given me another like little sprinkling, and I look back and it's so full circle, because then I feel like I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's fill your cup. Like it's literally fill your cup, and fill your cup is something that I'm taking with me. I'm so thankful for the Miss America, Miss Oklahoma organization, because it gave me like that push to, you know, you have to start something, something to be passionate about. But like, I kind of just took it running from there. And the amount of people, like literally people that I haven't even like heard from in years, I'll randomly see them in person. They're like, I just watched your podcast. Like, it was so good. I'm like, you sat through an hour of me talking? What? And I don't even remember the last time we had a conversation. And it's so special. And I feel like the Lord, like even just this past month, I've talked to you and Samantha and my mom about it a lot. But like the Lord has just kept giving me like little things and like my next step. And, you know, I've been able to decide what I'm doing for college and stuff like that. And it's not anything seminary-esque at all. No. But it makes so much sense for who I am as a storyteller. So all that to say, like, I feel like it really goes back to, like, the Lord will give you, if you really stay just, like, true to Him, like, the Lord will give you that contentment and, like, that yes for your next step. And is like, you just, like, keep taking that next step, like, it'll come together. That's why, like, I'm not worried Mama Samantha is like, do you know what Bella wants to do? Because
she's trying to get answers out of you.
Because she's not telling me. And I'm like, I don't know, because we're the same person. Yeah,
for sure.
I don't know. I just think it's super beneficial. But, I mean, I think it's not, okay, something else that I did want to touch on. It's like kind of going in a different direction. Mm-hmm. But like the importance of we did talk about this a little bit earlier whenever we were talking about like tree of trust and stuff like that. But something so important about like strong friendships. And I literally just thought of this like at the beginning, and I really felt like a call to like talk about it. But I feel like there are so many people in this world, like not even just like people out there, but like peers, like people that like I know that I'm actually really close to, that are like, I'm never going to find my people, or I'm surrounded by so many people, but I've never felt more alone, you know? And if anything, I think it should be an encouragement to like stay true to who you are as a person. Because like I left a whole dang school because I was like, I was changing. Mm-hmm. Like Caitlin was not Caitlin anymore. Yeah. And that is not anyone else's fault. I love all those people there, and I hope and wish for the best for all of them, but Caitlin wasn't Caitlin anymore. And I went through a really long period of feeling lonely, but now I look back and I have this whole tribe of people that's like my number one fans. But I feel, I don't know, like what has been your experience with like kind of just in that like finding your confidence and like trusting God that he'll give that to you? Because I think that's another level of like, people feel alone and they're like, I feel like I'm not going to have like, I feel like I'm not going to find my people. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Do you have any like encouragement for that?
Yeah, for sure. I understand what you mean by the school, for sure. I had gone to a place throughout all my elementary years, and we'd only had 16 people in our grade, which is very small. And I had known those people my whole life, and the kids who I'd grown up with, they hadn't necessarily learned the healthiest friendship habits. Mm-hmm. And so I was honestly in a very, very toxic friend group. And so I would get bullied all the time, emotionally, sometimes physically. And I thought it was okay because these were my friends.
You're like, this is all I know.
Yeah, this was all I knew. And so I remember the day that my parents told me like we were going to shadow another school, and I was so sad. And I had honestly prayed against it because I was like, I don't want to leave my people. These have been my people my whole life. No matter how bad it was, I couldn't see past that. Mm-hmm. And they weren't encouraging of anything that I did pertaining to pageants or music. Mm-hmm. They would just hurt me and cut me down and make me feel so small. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was okay because they were the people I'd had in my life for
You're
forever.
Like, this is the people that I'm around. Like, even if people feel, I know a lot, especially kind of in this like high school era, so many people are uncomfortable with what themselves and their friends are doing, but they're like, I don't really know what to do about it. Yeah.
So God did not answer my prayer. He said, you're getting out of that situation. And once I had moved schools, I had really found this sense of good Christian community. Mm-hmm. I go to a Christian school, and I'm super thankful for it. Yeah. But I really found people there, not just who were my peers, but also faculty and staff who really made me feel appreciated, and gave me the confidence to realize, like, once you're doing the things that you love, no matter if it's in school, whether it's sports or any extracurriculars such as pageants or theater or music, once you find your people and you're genuinely happy in what you're doing, those people who are the closest ones and the ones who are going to stick around will come to you. Yeah. Once you're shining in your proudest moment and you're able to realize like you're being unapologetically yourself no matter what you're doing, and you're being happy first before you're trying to make other people happy, that's when your people will come. Yeah. And so I would say honestly over the past 4 or 5 years, that's where I've kind of grown my tree of trust and seen, okay, these are my people in my life. Like, I'll have my friends and my acquaintances outside or in these certain areas where I'm like, okay.
Which are all so valuable.
Friends. Yeah, they are valuable. But once you just find your people where you're like, okay, like we connect on a different level, and they understand me for who I am, and they're not gonna belittle me for my accomplishments.
There is a level of respect I have for people that will not belittle you for what you want to go for in life, because I have had people that do that. And like whenever you find your people that are like your biggest cheerleader, I'm like, oh, I don't know. There's just a level of like respect I have for that.
And sometimes the people who are going to be your closest people, not even now, and you might like have them later on, like they're close to you now, but they might be one of your best people later on. You might have just met.
Right.
Like sometimes you just meet really, really nice and genuine people who support you for who you are in the most random times of your life, and they like change it completely. Random.
Yeah.
And they
just
change
take
your mindset.
that and go running.
Yeah.
Like take the time to find someone who's genuine.
Yeah.
There's something I feel like in our day and age now, like our culture, like there are so many genuine people out there, and people I think kind of try to diminish that, like there's not that substance there anymore, and there really is. You just have to take your time to find it, and then like hold on to that. Like just go running with it, because even that's kind of the same level of like being kind. Like sometimes they might tell you what you don't want to hear, but that's okay. Like I know we've both told each other stuff, and the other one's like,
I was about to say,
okay.
I mean, that was
she's like, yeah,
for sure. But I mean, I just think there's the biggest piece. I wouldn't say just advice, but just like wisdom in general, and just something to think about is once you're doing things that make you happy and things that you know are your own purpose, the people who are there to help you fulfill your purpose or to encourage you in that will come to you, and they will be some of the most kind, not just nice, but kind, genuine, and supportive people. And those are the people you have to keep close to you, because they're the ones who are going to help you through your rocky times. Through the easiest times of your life, it's just going to be much better when you really realize and you keep them close.
No, yeah, for sure. Well, I guess to that was good. That was a nice little cover. I feel like we just had such a deep conversation.
We did. We went from like over here to all the way over here.
Yeah. I just feel like before we kind of wrap things up, is there anything else that you want like people to know about Bella? With that, because I'm sure a lot of people I know like a lot of people tuning in on these like earlier episodes are people that like know us or know of us, and like any plans for future Bella, or like just what you want people to know.
Plans for future Bella.
We did kind of talk about that. You're like, I don't know.
Well, thankfully to the Miss Oklahoma and Miss America organization, I have about $1 million in tuition scholarship to different colleges and universities across the nation, which is such a blessing. So cool. So I don't know where I'm going to college. So you should get involved. Yeah, you should get involved for sure. It teaches you many valuable life skills and experiences you'll never forget for sure. And one of the things is scholarship. Yeah. It's really, really nice. So I don't know where I'm going to college right now. We're going to figure that out. I'm doing something for sure with the music, maybe social media management and marketing, which is something I've really enjoyed, especially over the past year as Miss Oklahoma's outstanding teen. Yeah. It's given me kind of an insight into that. Going to be doing something in that for sure. Yeah. We'll figure it out as we go.
What that might be, only the Lord knows.
Who knows? This next year, I'm just going to be kind of enjoying senior year of high school and taking in the last moments and taking in certain things that God has put in my life for the next year, and really just staying in those moments and being thankful for them. I'm trying to think of what else. Little bits of wisdom, I guess, to leave you with. Yeah. Be unapologetically you, no matter what. It might be really hard sometimes, and there might be times in your life where you are in the most uncomfortable situation ever. You might be in a job interview, or you might be just out having a conversation. Still stay true to who you are, because that shows a lot at the end of the day. Find your people, and when you're doing the thing that you love, your people will come to you. Yeah. And you'll really understand why they're in your life. And honestly, lean on your family, lean on your friends. And lean on God.
They're there to lean on. They're not going. Whenever you find those people, they're not gonna go. Yeah. So you can. It's okay to put that extra weight on them sometimes when you need to. Yeah.
And just lean on God. Yeah. I think he's. I don't think. I know he's a thing. I know. That's gonna keep you stable no matter what, and he'll never leave. So yeah, he's the best possible outlet. If you feel stress.
If anything, just I'm like, Lord.
Take it away.
Listen, I got a lot of things going on right now. But yeah, well, if you want to keep up with Bella, you'll follow her on Instagram, TikTok,
Facebook.
What is it? Bella Brown
Music.
Yeah, because my
Bella
friends,
Brown Music.
I'll my other friends who are like not involved in like anything that I do, I'll be like, oh, I was hanging out with Bella, and they're like, at Bella Brown Music, and I'm like, I like that that's how you know her, but yes, that is who she is.
Yeah. But go keep up with me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
Because she's an old lady.
Threads. Yeah, Facebook is an old lady. Threads, is that the new one?
Yeah, Threads.
Threads.
I got it.
I don't even know what to do on that thing.
I check it maybe once a week.
Yeah,
but it's okay.
But
yeah,
yes.
go follow Bella. Go follow Fill Your Cup.
Yeah.
Miss America's Teen OK.
Yes.
You know, all the things.
And if you scroll down, you'll see my whole year. If you want to just go look through it and kind of see a little bit of what we've been talking about.
For sure. Well, thanks for coming on this.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks guys for tuning in. Love ya.